Hey, this is Pat, and today we are checking out the all-new Sedici Corsa 2 gloves. Now, the Corsa within Sedici's line is the top level when it gets you to the track, top protection, everything like that tossed into their line. And the Corsa 2 gloves are no exception. They're replacing the Corsa 1s, obviously, as the name implies, with a couple key feature updates, one that I'm really stoked on, and one that I think will be a benefit for most riders out there. I dig, though, the Corsa 2s. I think this is an awesome glove out there if you're looking for something that won't break the bank, but will also give you maximum level protection and things that we see typically on MotoGP level gloves, all for that $130 price point, which again, is probably the biggest feature throughout the entire gloves. You usually see gloves like this in the $200 to $300 range, if not more, when you're looking at gloves out there like the Alpinestars Supertex that come in around $450 or so. You're looking at 130s for these for a very comfortable glove right out of the box, especially for summer riders out there. So whether you're twisting in the canyons, whether you're going to the track, I think the Corsa gloves would definitely be something to keep in mind if you're shopping for a new glove this riding season. But before I get too long-winded, let's hit some of the facts as well as the sizing right out of the gate. I mentioned it before, $130, comes in 3 different colorways, comes in sizes ranging from small up to 3 extra large, and I measure my hand about 8.75 inches to 9 inches in circumference around the palm of my hand, right around to the backside. Comes in about 8.75 on average. On my, sometimes it's a little bit closer to 9, but when I'm looking at that, that fits in a size large spot on. If you reference a size chart, you should be all set there. I'm a large in every glove out there, and the large out of the box is just fine for these. So no surprises there, really comfortable. Like I said, I know I keep mentioning that, but one of the key updates they did was updating the fingers as well as the palm, and I really dig how it fits on the overall hand right out of the box. Now they will break in about 10 to 15% with good use, especially at the track, but I don't think it's gonna break in too much that I'd need to go down to like a size medium or anything like that. So keep it in mind. Looking at the main construction of the glove, it is a goat leather main construction throughout. So everything you see on here is going to be goat leather. It's a double cuff entry for the gauntlet style, so it is a Velcro up top as well as a retention Velcro down at the base, and I like that they've added that little flap over there just to protect it should you go down, but plenty of space at the upper gauntlet with elastic in there that it's going to go ahead and open up and go around the cuff of your race jacket or of your suit. It'll fit over there no problem, and I dig that they're adding perf goat leather in key areas, especially, I'll flip this up, at the underside. I like that that's all perforated, makes it a little bit lighter lighter weight while also allowing some of that hot air to expel out of the gloves. Nice TPR slider on the outside to protect the outer wrist and a little bit of the ulna guard, and I like that they've cut it a little bit more. When you're riding in that aggressive, more sport riding position, your hands are typically pulled out a little bit more, so it's nice to have a little cutaway in that material just to really protect it and not have it be hindering the fitment, but also make sure it's protective in the riding position. More perforated goat leather goes down the back, and one thing to call out here too, the entire back of the hand on the inside is going to be an aramid liner inside there. That does 2 things. It actually reinforces the leather on the outside to make it a little bit more abrasion resistant, but it also stops heat transfer through the gloves. If you're sliding for long enough, that outer leather may stay intact, and it will stay intact on these ones, but that aramid actually helps stop that heat from passing through as the friction is building up. We've seen that from Marc Marquez, was most notorious for having that added into his suits because he was sliding for so long because he was very good at saving crashes, that we actually started noticing, if you ever watched, he wouldn't have the leather breakthrough on his race suits, but he would have burn marks on the outside when he got to the press day or if he was talking about the race or anything. It was just from the heat passing through. So a lot of race gloves will start adding aramid, and the Corsas are no exception here. That isn't new, that was on the last model, but I like that they've kept that here. That is fully down at the back as well as at the palm slider in those key areas, but it's mostly just down at the back of the hand. So I really dig that, but they're using perforated goat leather at the back with a little bit of elastic at the wrist to help keep it in place, and then you have a floating carbon knuckle. And what I mean by that, it is a carbon design here, so this is all new. This is going to be a new model for the Corsa 2s. The last version was a split dual density. I like the carbon. I think it's just a little bit cleaner, a little bit more comfortable. There is foam underneath, and that's what I mean by floating knuckle. You can see the accordion leather. You can see underneath there is some foam reinforcement just to make it comfortable for all day, and a little piece of elastic that helps it just move into the riding position a little bit easier. It gives it that relief at the back while still adding that accordion. If you're really getting aggressive, you're going to have that whether you're grabbing the controls or anything along those lines. It is double stitched all the way around to make sure that stays in place, and then they added new accordion leather at the base of the fingers. I love that. The trigger fingers, especially when you're grabbing the controls, are the most movement you have, so you get that across the main 3 fingers as well as at the thumb. I like that they've added that in there and then added a little bit of a TPU slider at the top of the fingers. One of the biggest call outs though, you get full outer seam coverage done in leather. That doesn't change from the last model, but what does change is you are now getting external seams running down the entire palm side of the finger. You expect to see this at very expensive gloves. You expect to see this on MotoGP level gloves. When you have the seams on the inside and you're gripping the controls, it does tend to dig into you. So I like that they move them externally. It adds for a little bit more comfort, but more so it helps be a little bit more secure on the grips of your bike because these seams are actually going to combine together and grab onto it so there's not any piece of surface area on your controls to make sure that you have more grip out there. A little bit of perf at the leather on the inside of the fourchettes running down for some airflow, as well as at the palm, and then you do get touch tech both at the finger as well, the index as well as the thumb for pinching and zooming. You don't tend to see that on race gloves. I always look for it because my race gloves are typically my sport riding gloves for the street. So I like that they've included that on there, whether you're using your phone, you have a dash that is touchscreen or anything like that. I like that they're including it. You don't have to use it, but it's nice to know that it is there for street riders out there. Keep looking at the palm. We do have a synthetic goat leather main construction for this gripper panel right here. The rest of the entire palm is going to be goat. This gets a nice silicone gripper over top of it though for reinforcement and a little bit more grip so you're not going to be sliding off the controls. One key update though, instead of having any super fabric or anything like that on these gloves, they're actually going ahead and using Knox's scaphoid protectors at the base, which does have that Knox armor underneath, double layer of leather and double stitching all the way throughout to make sure it stays in place. But you do have dual sliders. Should you hit the deck, your palm's the most likely thing to go down. And once you start sliding, you want that to keep going and not hinder, because if it grabs, you can actually lean forward and break your wrist. It's a very prone accident. That's why scaphoid sliders are so popular, especially at that higher tier racing, but for most street gloves out there too, just to save you from your own instincts out there. So I like that they've gone to Knox, who has been doing it the best for years. I like that they're including theirs on there. But overall, just an absolutely comfortable glove. Like I said, if there was anything that I was looking to update, maybe I would love a mesh liner on the inside, just keep my skin away from that aramid, because it can get a little bit hotter. But I think all the perforation running through the glove is going to cool off your hand no matter what. I love the external seams on the palm side. I love the Knox instead of the super fabric, and I just love the increased accordion stretch at the back of the fingers as well as the back of the glove. I think these got really comfortable out of the box, which is key for a lot of people out there, but these are great for anybody like myself who's commuting on the street on their sport bike, or if you want to take it to the track occasionally, these can easily do that while keeping you protected without breaking the bank. But if you have any other questions on this, or if you want to see what other riders are saying, go ahead and click that info button. That's going to take you over to the product page where you can read other rider reviews and see what other riders are saying about the new Corsa 2 gloves. If you still have questions after that, or if you have questions on sizing, you're trying to nail that down, give our customer service agents a call. They're all riders, happy to help you get set up for your next ride. I want to thank you for checking out the all-new Sedici Corsa 2 gloves. I'm Pat, and I'll see you in the next video.